In the bustling streets of Lagos, where yellow buses honked and traders shouted their prices, a boy named David sat every evening by the corner of a newspaper stand. His hair was rough, his shirt torn at the sleeves, and his slippers almost split in half. He carried a little plastic bag with him wherever he went. Inside, folded neatly, were scraps of paper filled with numbers and sums. Those scraps were his dreams. David was only 16, but his eyes carried the weight of an old man. He had not sat in a classroom for 2 years. His father, once a carpenter, had fallen ill and passed away suddenly. His mother struggled to feed his younger siblings by selling fried bean cakes by the roadside. David, the eldest, tried to help. He worked wherever he could, carrying loads in the market, pushing wheelbarrows, cleaning cars. But the city was unkind, and most days ended with him sitting on the pavement, counting the few coins he had earned. Yet, no matter how harsh the day was, every night, under the dim light of a street lamp, David pulled out his scraps of paper and solved mathematics problems he remembered from school. He whispered to himself, "One day, I will be an engineer. One day, I will build things people said were impossible." Most people ignored him. Some mocked him. Others tossed coins into his direction without even looking. But David had grown used to being invisible. What kept him going was his belief that dreams, though fragile, were still alive inside him. One evening, as the market was closing, a man in his 50s stopped near the newspaper stand. He had a calm face, glasses resting on his nose, and carried a brown leather bag. He noticed David scribbling numbers furiously on a paper scrap. The man paused. "What are you writing, young boy?" he asked. David looked up nervously. "Mathematics, so." The man raised an eyebrow. "At this time of night? On the street?" David nodded, clutching his scraps tightly. "Yes, sir. I don't want to forget what I've learned." The man introduced himself as Mr. Johnson, a retired mathematics teacher. Curious, he asked David to solve a problem from his head. David's answer was quick and correct. The old teacher's eyes widened with surprise. "Why are you here and not in school?" he asked softly. David lowered his eyes. "School needs money. My family needs food. I chose food." For a moment, silence hung in the air. Then, the old teacher said word that David never forgot. "Knowledge is never wasted. If you keep holding on to your dream, someone will notice." From that day, Mr. Johnson began visiting David at the street corner. Sometimes he brought him a loaf of bread, sometimes an old mathematics textbook. He taught him equations on the pavement, using chalk on the ground. People passing by thought it was strange, a boy solving algebra on the roadside. But to David, it was life itself. Months passed. David grew sharper, faster, more confident. One afternoon, Mr. Johnson told him about a small foundation that offered scholarships to street children who showed promise. He encouraged David to try. With trembling hands, David sat for the exam, fearing he would fail. But when the results came, he had not only passed, he had topped the list. The day David received his scholarship letter, he ran all the way home to his mother. Tears of joy rolled down her cheeks as she hugged him. "Your father always said you were destined for greatness," she whispered. For the first time in years, David walked into a classroom again, not as a boy forgotten by the world, but as a student with a future. He studied with passion, often staying late in the library. Years later, he became the first in his community to graduate as an engineer. But David did not forget the street where he once sat with his scraps of paper. Today, he runs a small evening school under the same street lamp where he used to study. Children who cannot afford formal schooling gather there. He teaches them for free, passing on not just mathematics, but hope, and in his office, neatly framed, hangs one of the old scraps of paper he carried as a boy. On it is written a simple sum, and beneath it, his handwriting. "Never stop dreaming." David's story reminds us that poverty can take away comfort, but it cannot kill a dream that is protected fiercely. Sometimes, all it takes